Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm John.
And we're Bucket List Travellers.
And today we're taking you on a walking tour of San Rafael del Norte. We're starting our walking tour today at Parque Urania Zelaya Ubeda, which is the central park here in San Rafael del Norte.
Hello.
The park was named after the student Sandinista resistance leader who was born right here in San Rafael del Norte.
And she was quite young when she died, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was only 18 years of age when she was killed in 1978. She'd become a national hero and martyr for her role in the Civil War.
This is a beautiful park area, and I love how they've got a lot of equipment, like sports equipment and children's playground areas, and they've got quite a bit of information here. You can see on the right there's all these signs about different prominent figures that were born or lived in this area.
San Rafael del Norte was a key town in the Sandinista movement and the birthplace of Blanca Arauz, who was the wife of Sandino.
Yeah, and she was a national heroine in her own right. We'll talk about her in a little while, but yeah, she's a fascinating person.
Yeah, and just coming up here on our right, we've got a statue of another prominent figure of San Rafael del Norte, Brother Odorico de Andrea.
He was an Italian-born Nicaraguan priest, and he lived in San Rafael del Norte for 36 years and was very prominent in the area and very instrumental in building key infrastructure in the region, and he's quite revered in the town.
Yeah, he was very instrumental in developing this church that we see in front of us, but we'll talk a lot more about him a little bit later. Let's have a look in the church now.
Yeah, this church is really beautiful, and for quite a small town, it's got a very impressive church.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It rivals the churches of some of the biggest cities. It's just as, if not more impressive than the cathedral in Granada, in my view.
Yeah, and I really love the murals inside. So a lot of the murals, they have depict some of the tenets of the Catholic Church, and they're really impressive murals, both in the church there as well as all around the town, as you'll see later in the walking tour.
Yeah, so if you visit San Rafael del Norte, you cannot miss checking out that church. And it's not the only church in town. There's another big church up on top of the hill, which we'll get to a little bit later. And that is also really amazing with heaps of murals to look at as well. Oh, on our left here is a statue of both Sandino and his wife.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look down this street, on the right is a coffee shop called Coffee Lovers. And this has got to be one of my favourite coffee shops in the world. I've been to quite a few coffee shops, especially around Melbourne, which is a big coffee hub in Australia, and I would say this coffee rivals some of the best that we've been to. So it's got a really beautiful deck area out the back with views out to the hillside and banana trees and stuff like that. This is a coffee growing region, so the coffee here is top notch.
And most of it's organic as well.
Yeah, don't forget to get a cake while you're here as well. So we really enjoyed having a coffee frappe and a Selva Negra cake, which is a Black Forest cake. The Black Forest cakes in this region are to die for. So there is another coffee shop just down from Coffee Lovers, which is called Growers Coffee Club. And that's also really good, and the owner there is lovely.
We had a really nice time there, and he offered us some mint liqueur.
Yeah,
as
that
well,
was really nice.
Which is really cool. And that coffee shop is owned by a co-op of coffee growers. So in supporting the shop, you support the local growers of the area as well. We're going up the main street now, and on your left, that orange and red building is a Fritanga, which is a popular eatery here in Nicaragua, type of eatery. It's where you can get all manner of grilled meats.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, and then coming up on the right is a museum, a house museum.
Yeah, Casa Museo Blanca Arauz. So this is the home of Blanca Arauz, who was Sandino's wife. So she has a really fascinating story.
So you can see a portrait of Blanca Arús on the left, and on the right is a portrait of the national hero Augusto C. Sandino, who used the city of San Rafael del Norte as an operational centre. And this house museum houses a lot of photographs of Sandino and paintings of local artists and pieces of ceramics and other interesting and historical objects as well. And you've got to be careful with the opening times.
We walked past here when we were filming this walking tour, and unfortunately we didn't go in at the time. We thought, oh yeah, we've got a week, we'll go into it later. But for the whole 6 days that we were in San Rafael, it only opened up once. So if it is open, make sure you visit.
The Casa de Cultura Blanca Arús was founded in 2010 and was adapted as a house museum in 2016. Blanca led a really fascinating life.
She was born into a family of telegraphists, and she picked up those skills as well and became the town telegraphist as she got older. So she had learnt Morse code at a really young age.
Yeah, it was like 10 or something like that. And then she was employed by the guerrilla forces during the United States occupation of Nicaragua, and the telegraphy office was just across the road from the United States military base. So she was able to keep an eye on the US forces' movements and report back to Sandino about it. And she was also able to intercept messages and send misinformation. She played a really crucial role in intelligence gathering for the guerrilla forces.
During this time, both Blanca and Augusto Sandino spent a lot of time together, and from that time together, love blossomed.
They ended up getting married in San Rafael del Norte, and then days after that, they were back at work again. Blanca ended up being identified as a person of interest, and she was arrested several times, and she was tortured in a prison in Leon to try and get the whereabouts of her husband, but she didn't crack, and eventually she was released.
Another notable achievement of hers was negotiating a peace deal with the new government in 1933. So what was really fascinating about this was that she was 4 months pregnant and she rode a mule into Managua to do the negotiations.
And sadly, not long after that, she ended up dying in childbirth. So she was survived by her husband
and daughter.
And her husband ended up getting assassinated just a few years later. She's had a very fascinating life, and in 2015, she was decreed to be the first national heroine of Nicaragua.
Yeah, so she led an amazing but tragically short life.
Yeah, she was only 24 when she died. So we're in San Rafael del Norte, which is actually the highest town in Nicaragua, and it's got an elevation of over 1,000 meters or over 3,500 feet.
And being up at this altitude, the climate is much cooler than what you'd find in the rest of Nicaragua. So it's a really pleasant change, to be honest.
Yeah.
It still gets hot in the middle of the day, but then the afternoons start getting cool and you get a really nice night's sleep.
So it's technically a tropical savanna climate or a dry winter. And it's located 185 kilometers from the city of Managua. So the nearest cities are Jinotega, which you can get to by bus. It takes about 40 minutes. Or else the other big town near here is San Sebastián del Yali, which is about the same amount of time in the opposite direction.
And buses travel through San Rafael del Norte very regularly, so probably on the hour, and you can get buses to Yali, Jinotega, and even Esteli.
We're coming up to a fire station here, or a bombero, and beyond that you can see some nice hillsides in the distance.
Yeah, one of the things we've really loved about San Rafael del Norte is just the amazing scenery. So you've got hills surrounding the whole town. It's really pretty.
Yeah, it's got a really nice, relaxed atmosphere.
We had originally planned to stay for just 3 days, but we loved it so much that we stayed for nearly a week.
Yeah, it's a lovely area. And coming up here, we've got the bus terminal, and beyond that is a marketplace. So there's a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables that you can get here. The prices are quite reasonable. Everything seems to be organic and seasonal, so the food in Nicaragua is really nice and fresh and pretty cheap, would you say?
Oh, for sure. And up here in the mountains, one specialty is a type of cheese. It's called cuajada.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And it is, well, we'd say it's a little bit like ricotta cheese. So
yeah,
it's
so it's a white cheese.
Yeah, and it's relatively soft to bite into, and it's got a subtle taste to it. It doesn't have a strong taste.
And you can get it for around 50 Cordobas per pound, which is less than $2. I really like the small town feel of San Rafael del Norte. There's only about 6,000 people that live in town, and because I was going to the same shops to buy our breakfast each morning, people would get to know me after a while, which was nice.
Being a small town, there aren't too many hotels. We stayed at Casa Real.
Yeah, that was a really nice hotel, and the beds were really comfortable.
Yeah, and we had a veranda where we could have lunch and just enjoy the views over the hills. It was really pretty.
And the restaurant there's really good as well.
Oh, yes. And another hotel that we did look at as well was called San Payo. And Payo actually is Nicaraguan slang for Rafael. So San Payo actually means San Rafael, which was interesting.
Yeah, I found it very interesting that the nicknames in Nicaragua don't necessarily relate to the underlying name. Like, if it was Australian, then I guess you'd call it San Raf or something like that. But Payo doesn't sound like Rafael at all. We're halfway through our walking tour of San Rafael del Norte, and if you like this video so far, don't forget to give it a like. We do walking tours like this of cities around Nicaragua, and we've been doing that for about the last 7 months. We also do a lot of videos about living and traveling in Nicaragua, Nicaraguan food and culture and places to stay. So if you want more videos on visiting Nicaragua, don't forget to subscribe. One thing that's really impressed us about San Rafael del Norte is the amount and the quality of the murals here.
Yeah, they're really impressive and they get done all the time. We saw a couple of murals.
They were dated and the date was just a few weeks before we got here, so still getting made, which is really cool to see.
One of the murals is recent because the person depicted in the mural is wearing a face mask.
And getting an injection, so it looks like it's related to COVID. I really liked particularly the murals around the hospital. There was one of a mother or an expected mother, which was pretty impressive. And a lot of the murals around here are also about Padre Odorico de Andrea, because he is so revered in this town. So the Padre, let's talk about the Padre.
Yeah.
So he arrived in Nicaragua in 1953 and came to San Rafael del Norte in early 1954. And once he got here, he didn't leave. And he was very instrumental in the building of the infrastructure in this area.
Yeah, just the general development of the community.
Yeah, so clean drinking water was brought here by him, hospitals were constructed and other buildings were improved. So at the top of this hill is Tepeyac, which is a religious building, and it's actually now where the remains of this Padre are housed.
Father Odorico passed away in 1990, And over 10,000 people went to his funeral, which just goes to show how revered and respected this man was. The process towards beatification for him started in 2002. So beatification is the process of becoming a saint.
It's a Catholic tradition. Part of that is to exhume the body and to check for signs of decomposition. So apparently one way to identify if a person is a saint is that their body doesn't decompose, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, uncorrupted or something like that. Padre Odorico's body was uncorrupted, which is one of the signs of being a saint. So he's on his way to beatification, and he currently has a title that has been given to him by the Catholic Church, which is Servant of God. We're approaching Tepeyac now, and these steps that lead up to the church at the top of the hill have a really good view back out to the city below.
And as you walk up each of the steps, on either side you'll see each of the stations of the cross. So for those who aren't familiar with Stations of the Cross, it tells the story of Jesus' trial to his crucifixion.
So it's a Catholic tradition, is it?
Yeah, so you would pray at each of the Stations of the Cross to give your devotion to the last moments of Christ's life on earth.
Yeah, and so each of the stations of the cross are statues or paintings depicting various
Key
stages
moments.
in
The last day of Christ on earth. Yeah. And so now we're at the top of Tepeyac, and you get some really nice views overlooking the town and the surrounding hills. It's just really pretty up here.
Yeah, and outside the church as well as inside, there are a lot of murals around, so we can see all along the side of the church here, very colourful murals.
And this church is part of a pilgrimage.
Yeah, so it's a religious pilgrimage, and we were actually here on a Sunday, and it was packed with people. So these religious pilgrimages follow in the footsteps of Father Odorico.
They're called Huellas de Odorico de Andrea, which directly translate into the footsteps of Father Odorico. And the key aspect of this pilgrimage is to visit the tomb of Padre Odorico. And you bring water there and place it next to his tomb, and that consecrates the water. So it becomes holy water.
Yeah, which is quite fascinating. So we saw a long line of people lined up to pay their respects and visit the tomb.
Yeah.
And I guess it would be people that are sick would come for healing. And a few miracles have been attributed to Father Odorico, and that's part of the process. Verifying those miracles as part of the process of canonization or becoming a saint. Next to the Church of Tepeyac, there's a museum dedicated to Father Odorico.
And I believe it's open on weekends, definitely on Sundays.
Yeah, so it was open when we were there, and it had a lot of artifacts from Padre Odorico's life.
Yeah, including garments that he'd wear for Mass and journal writings and letters.
And there's a few books that have been written about him as well. And you can sign the visitor's book while you're there, so we did that.
Yeah.
And in this courtyard here, you've got a lot of murals, and on weekends there are food stalls set up to feed the hungry masses.
Yeah, we had some enchiladas whilst we were having a little break.
It's always a good fast food snack in Nicaragua.
Yeah, and there's even a gift shop in the corner here.
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of people wearing T-shirts with Father Odorico on them and pictures of Father Odorico in their homes. Memorabilia related to the Padre seem to be quite popular in this region.
Yeah, he's a rock star here.
Yeah, so coming up here is the car park for the church, and we've got a lot more murals as well depicting various key moments in Padre Odorico's life.
Yeah, so here we have a mass that he held at La Naranja. It was really notable because it was during the middle of the Civil War, and he had so much moral authority that he brought both sides of the war together and managed to broker peace between them.
Yeah, so he was known as the Friar of Peace. On the Sunday that we were here, there were van loads of people that came in from all around the country. And you can tell that because the number plates on cars, the first letter actually denotes the city that the car comes from. So we could see that the cars were coming from Matagalpa and Hinotega and Chinandega, yeah, all around. So this section of town is a bit more rural than the rest of San Rafael del Norte. So you won't find as many restaurants or eateries. There are a few pulperias or like little corner stores, but it's mainly just housing.
This part of San Rafael del Norte has much more of a country feel. So you're going to have dirt roads and chickens running about, and you might hear a couple of pigs.
Yeah, and some dogs roaming around. It's got quite a laid-back feel.
Just ahead of us here, we have an example of a pulperia. Pulperias sell your essentials, so they might have soap or shampoo, and rice and beans,
bread. And soft drinks seem to be a popular option as well.
Yep.
I really like this stretch of road because you can see the hills off in the distance. It's quite green and lush, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really beautiful, this area.
I think this is a great place to come if you just want to escape city life for a bit and just have that fresh country air, the cool climate, and the peaceful living.
Yeah, for sure. We're coming up to the Parque de las Madres, which is only a 2-minute or so walk from Tepeyac. If you do visit Tepeyac, we highly recommend you come down here and check this out as well.
Yeah, so it's only 10 Cordobas entry each, and it's a really pretty garden with a lot of flowers and manicured walkways, and it's got great views over to the surrounding mountainside. And it's very popular with couples, so there's a lot of nice little romantic nooks where you can get away together and just have a romantic moment.
We hope you enjoyed our walking tour of San Rafael del Norte, Nicaragua.
What did you think of the area? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave us a comment. We are Bucket List Travellers.
See you next time.